News coming out of F1 in the last few moments. Christian Horner has been sacked by Red Bull after 20 years as team principal. Laurent Mekies has been promoted from Red Bull to another position within Red Bull to replace him as chief executive. So Christian Horner sacked by Red Bull after 20 years as team principal. Certainly, Simon, Christian Horner, we know, has had to live through one or two interesting times of late. When controversy surrounded him and the finger was being pointed at him regards his behaviour and the way about he went his business as chief executive, and as you rightly say, he weathered that storm. But when he was in here, he very much gave me, I don't know about you, the impression that this is a guy who very much has a significant role to play, not just at Red Bull but in F1.
Yeah, and he may well have thought he still did. And obviously others have decided, for whatever reason, we're yet to determine what that is, whether it's a shake-up of Red Bull, whether they're unhappy with the performance, whether there's other issues behind the scenes. But nothing lasts forever. I mean, if you've been in a situation like this, where you've been a team principal for a very long time, for 20 years,
yes.
First of all, it tells you something about his capabilities and also his stickability. But change is inevitable.
Yeah, it's been phrased by other news outlets somewhat differently. I'm looking at one, I won't name the outlet. Red Bull says it has released Christian Horner from his operational duties with effect from today. Let's get more on this. Jon Jackson is talkSPORT's F1 reporter. John, good morning to you. What do you know about this?
Good morning, Jim. I'm obviously still getting information as we talk here now, but it was first reported from sources in the Netherlands, which you probably mentioned already. Racing News 365 is one of the publications that was fed this information early on. And as you said there, Red Bull have just confirmed it to Racing News 365 and a contact of mine called Nick Golding, who's one of the writers there. And it looks like the Racing Bulls team principal, Laurent Mekies, will be replacing Christian Horner as not only the CEO of Red Bull Racing, but also the team principal of the premier team, Red Bull Racing, which obviously has Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda driving for them. There was reports a couple of weeks ago that there was a potential bit of interest in him from Ferrari, which I'm not sure there was much in that, but at this stage, we don't know whether they've replaced him or if Christian Horner has chosen to go. So I guess this will develop. I'm sort of getting texts as we're speaking now, so it's all going off.
It is all going off, John. Certainly, he's a significant figure in the sport. I mean, since 2005, as you know, Horner served as team principal and chief exec of Red Bull Racing in Formula One, winning 6 World Constructors' Championship titles between 2010 and 2023. So he's a man who made an impact in the sport and still does.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Christian Horner's been involved in motorsport for many, many years, used to run one of the junior teams there and had some success there. And obviously has been incredibly successful running Red Bull Racing. And, you know, we've seen over the last few years being the team principal with the likes of Sebastian Vettel winning multiple world championships and Max Verstappen winning multiple world championships now. You know, he's been incredibly successful at the top of his game, but obviously there were situations early last year where there were these allegations that were made, which were found to be were not upheld by an independent investigation, you know, of his conduct. And there were rumours that, you know, he would maybe not survive that back then. So he has lasted a little bit longer than a lot of people would have thought. But I mean, there's always a divide in the Red Bull camp. It's not a happy camp behind the scenes. And you've got big players like Jos Verstappen, Max Verstappen's dad, who's always happy to say what he thinks. And you know, at the moment on the track, the performance isn't there, is it? So there are big questions over whether Red Bull needs to think for things to change. And when you're the man at the top, then unfortunately, if you're not performing, then you're the first person to have the finger pointed at you. So I think it will be interesting to see whether this was a decision that Christian Horner, you know, chose to leave, or there was a mutual parting of ways. That's how it was described to me by, as I say, my contact at Racing News 365, who wrote the story. But obviously, you take these things with a pinch of salt.
Yes, indeed. He's only 51, John, still a young man, so still has a good few years yet in the sport, should he wish to stay in the sport. And of course, as you rightly say, there has been talk about a move to Ferrari. So one has to think, we'll watch that space. That might loom large in the coming days or weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the contract situation would be. Obviously, how they parted terms, that's all too fresh at the moment. But you'd think they would be interested in him. He is a man with, as we say, extreme caliber in the world of Formula One, and he's been there, done that, and he's won many, many things. So, but other teams, and this is probably why he was linked with Ferrari, because Ferrari, as we know, Lewis Hamilton's gone there, and they've not really given him the car to do what Lewis Hamilton wants to do, which is win an 8th world title. So I would imagine if Christian Horner, if and when he's free to negotiate with other teams, there would be interest there. And it'll be interesting to see where he goes, because he's been at Red Bull for, as you said there, well over 20 years.
Yes, indeed. John, thank you very much indeed. Jon Jackson, talkSPORT's F1 correspondent. Simon, I don't know about you, but when he was in with us on the 17th floor, he's an impressive figure. He knows everything there is to know about this sport, as you'd expect.
I mean, listen, he's a competent fellow. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been in a position for 20 years. I don't know whether he was impressive or not in his field. I mean, clearly he's been presiding over a team for 20 years, and people have lots of choices who they put in situ. And if you've won 6 constructors championships over that period of time, then you have some substance about you. Whether he's good at his job, whether he's someone that people enjoy working with, I don't know. I didn't get any sense of that speaking to him. He's a confident lad, sat in the studio, asked a few questions, gave a few answers, and off he went. So other than that, I don't know much more about him. As far as his ability to be moving somewhere else, if he's being released from his contract, I'm assuming he's able to do as he pleases, because he's not taking the decision. He's not walking out of a contract unless we're reading the room wrong. So he'll be in a situation, and it may well be that he batted his eyes. Who knows? If we've got links with him with Mercedes and he starts batting his eyes at Mercedes, and Red Bull don't like the look of that, you can see that happening in football. It happened to Gary Rowett at Birmingham, batted his eyes at other football clubs. The Birmingham owners didn't like it, and out the door he went.
Well, he's in a wonderful position, isn't he? I mean, he's super experienced and probably courted after by other, the other.
For sure.
And if he decides, you know what, I've been in the game a long time, I need a little break, he's not going to be worrying about his mortgage payments, is he?
Oh no, he doesn't need to worry about that. Of course, he's a British motorsport executive. He's a former driver himself, so he's virtually done everything there is to do in the sport, and has held down a whole range of different roles. And now, of late, as chief exec of Red Bull, that particular role has come to an end. Whether he's been sacked, whether there's a mutual parting of the ways, whatever. But he's out of Red Bull, and what next for Christian Horner? We'll find out more, no doubt, in the course of this morning.
He doesn't diversify into music production and re-release his wife's songs.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Yeah, Jerry Halliwell. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Or he might fancy radio.
He's actually the longest-serving team principal in F1, with his exit coming a year on from being accused of controlling behaviour by a female member of staff at the team. Christian Horner always denied those allegations that were made against him. So in the last few moments, Red Bull have said, we'd like to thank Christian for his exceptional work over the last 20 years. With his tireless commitment, experience, expertise and innovative thinking, he has been instrumental in establishing Red Bull Racing as one of the most successful and attractive teams in F1. Thank you for everything, Christian, and you will forever remain an important part of our team history. So that's over. What's next for Christian Horner? We might be able to tell you a bit more about that before we go at 1 o'clock.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.